Bullock, and I am going to be talking about the Houston Youth Symphony Viola Audition Excerpt C from the Mendelssohn String Symphony No. 7, the fourth movement. Thank you for joining me today. So this excerpt is it's from a very fun and exuberant part of the piece. So when you play it, you should sound like you're having a great time. But first off, before we even get into actually playing the piece, we want to be able to listen to it. I recommend going on YouTube and typing in literally Mendelssohn String Symphony No. 7, and loads of videos will pop up. But one really helpful video, which is one of the first to pop up, is by an account called SP's Score Videos. And this account is really helpful because it posts the score as you listen. So not only can you see the viola part going on, but how it interacts with the violins and the cellos in this symphony. Now on that SP score video, this excerpt occurs around 18 minutes and 30 seconds in. Now there's many other great chamber orchestra videos of this piece on YouTube to listen to, but some of those orchestras take the first repeat in the fourth movement, and so that adds a couple of minutes onto the timing. So on those videos, you may not hear this excerpt until about 20 minutes into the video. So let's get started with this excerpt. And this is, of course, after you followed along with the part, listened, and we know stylistically what's going on. So one of the first ways that our teachers often tell us to practice, and I totally agree, is starting off slow. Everybody knows that, and hopefully you always do it because that's super, super helpful. I'm not gonna really go on and on about practicing slow. One of the tricky parts of this excerpt is that it is in two. So you'll see that the metronome marking says half note equals 100 to 110. So that means you'll feel a big 2. So you need to go in and write some slashes to remind yourself where those metronome clicks are going to be. But one way to really practice that is to personally subdivide all of your half notes into 2 quarter notes, just so you can really internalize that rhythm. And so on. And you notice I said in the rest so that we can really, again, internalize and feel that rhythm. One of my favorite ways to practice, and you should do this with your scales too, is with a drone. And now this piece, or this excerpt, excuse me, we can use a D or a B. I'll put on a D for a little bit. We can really, really deeply tune this piece, this excerpt to that D drone. I'll put on a B. You can kind of hear how that will sound. You can hear it's a slightly different notes that we will it will have our ears attuned to, but that will also be good. Now, let's put our eyeballs right down on the page on measure 2, 3, 1. So from here to the end of the excerpt, constant eighth notes. This is like prime territory for our fingers to get all in a jumble when we are doing our audition video. So you're gonna practice slowly, we already talked about that, but I also recommend practicing it with rhythms. So let's see, I'll do the first 2 measures with long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. And then you can do short, long, short, long. Or long, short, short, like that. Sorry, it would be long, short, short, short. Long, short, short, short. Like that. And then we would keep on migrating the long note. until we kind of do all the iterations possible, and then that will really exercise our fingers and train our brain in a different way to really master these eighth notes, especially when it's up to tempo. And when it is up to tempo, we want it to be off-ish, not really super spiccato, but it's a classical, kind of late classical, early romantic era piece. So we don't want to be too legato on those eighth notes. Now, my last tip for practicing this is something I call backwards chaining. And that means that we literally start at the end of the excerpt, last two measures, starting in measure 236. We play that to the end, and we back up one measure, and we keep going till we get to the top. And the reason why that really helps is because so often when we practice, we always start at the beginning of the piece. And that trains our brain to only kind of keep going forward in a way. And so when we start backwards and train our brain that way, then there's no anxiety in our subconscious about what is next, because we've already done what's next even more than at the beginning. I hope that all of that makes sense. So now I'm going to play this excerpt once more for you. Let me check my tempo. Some of the the iterations of it on YouTube that you might hear are actually a little slower than 110, but I'll still play it at 110. Okay, so now I am first going to play this excerpt for you at a really, really slow practice speed. I'm going to put my metronome on 80, and that is going to be the quarter note, not the half note. So we'll put it on 80. This way we can really, really subdivide and make sure we've really mastered all those practice techniques. And you should even do it slower than quarter note equals 80 and build it up. Now I'm going to kind of make a little bit of a leap to we're going down to 60, but now 60 is turning into our half note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. 1, 2, 1. Let's ramp this metronome up to 110. I'm gonna turn it on a little bit louder. I wanted to say too that even when we're practicing slow, super slow, we want to be using the same bow stroke, the same character that we will be using when we are at full tempo. Okay, here's that sprightly 110. 1, 2. And there we have it, Excerpt C for the 2023-2024 Houston Youth Symphony Viola Audition. Happy practicing!